Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 6. It is called Spectre of the Gun. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And the plot of this one is that the Enterprise is on its way to this planet to make contact with this alien race because they're extending their hand, come join the Federation, be part of the Alliance, blah, 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 blah. But they've got some pretty hefty defences up, and they're not necessarily thrilled about anyone coming towards them. So we get a weird floating object, and it's kind of weird, but they get past it, and then they get down to the planet. And by they, I mean 5 people. I mean Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Chekhov, and Scotty.
Yes.
So full slate of main characters. So no red shirts to kill, I guess is what I'm saying. Well, Scotty's a red shirt, but there's only
Proper
one man.
red shirt,
There's
yeah.
only one man who's worn a red shirt in every single episode of Star Trek and still came out to tell a tale. That's Scotty, just for the record.
Obviously.
Yeah, but hey, so they get to the planet, and Spooky Head appears and says, "Blah blah blah blah. You're unwelcome here," and sends them to the Old West. Tombstone specifically, with unfinished sets, and they have a line of dialogue. It's like, "Oh, but there's something wrong. It's not finished. It's not like maybe it doesn't have enough data to complete the world." And I'm like, "Yeah, they ran out of time and money and they didn't finish the sets, didn't they?" And I looked it up.
This was just a way to slash the budgets.
I looked it up. That is true. They didn't have the money to finish the sets.
I think it was pretty obvious.
Especially since it never did anything with it. It never came out to play. In fact, not only did it never come out to play, for the rest of the episode, they actually seem to ignore the fact that this is probably like a fake version or a simulation, and they just kind of like basically talk as if they're back in the past.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm like, hey, remember when you first arrived and you acknowledged that, they couldn't rebuild the whole thing because, didn't have all
But
the
they're
data.
talking about, like, we can't change history.
Yeah, they start talking about, we can't change the timeline. I'm like, but you're not changing the timeline. You know it's not real.
Yeah.
This is probably obvious given what we just said. So the rest of the episode is basically, they've kind of taken place of, I can't remember the names. It's who Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday all killed at the OK Corral. That whole classic story.
Ike is one of them.
Ike is one of them. Oh, I was going to say the last names because a lot of them are brothers.
But Ike is the name that stands out in my mind. It's an uncommon name.
Yeah, sure. So you've got Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday and the rest of their group, and they're like, "Oh, you're here by 5 o'clock. We're gonna kill you." And they try to leave, but they can't because magical barrier. Again, hinting that this is not real. This is a simulation of some kind from godlike beings.
And we know that the beings in question are very strong telepaths because that was how it opens when they introduce themselves. They send their message into everyone's mind in their own languages.
Yeah, because Chekhov hears it in Russian, and Spock's, they're speaking Vulcan. It's like, yeah. So again, very obvious given the hints of enjoyment throughout those few sentences. But did you enjoy Spectre of the Gun?
Not particularly. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
the worst.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible watch. It wasn't as bad as some of the other stinkers we've had, but it's a very flawed episode. I think what works about it is just I think it's hard to at least not get some enjoyment out of us, a ticking time bomb, and we have to figure out how to survive. Like those elements are okay. There's like because I think the stuff I liked the most was them like, okay, what's in this time period that we can like build something out of. And they're trying to figure out that.
Yeah, and obviously you've got your core characters playing off each other, which is, even in the worst episodes, is typically good when they're together.
Also, the one that Chekhov's kind of become, because all the other people around him, like in the bar and stuff in the saloon, they just kind of see who they think they're seeing, rather than the Star Trek crew. And Chekhov's like person he's taken over had like a girlfriend, and she keeps going up and kissing him, and like him being like a horn dog is kind of fun. Like do you remember? I don't know what episode it was. It was sometime last season. Chekhov. Like some woman on a planet said something about wanting a mate or something, and he did this thing where he slid into frame. Like,
yeah, right.
You remember that, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like bringing me flashbacks of that, where the captain's like, "Hey, Chekhov, we should get back to what we're doing." He's like, "Oh, Captain, we should keep up hospitalities with the locals."
Yeah, this cracked me up the most because Kirk, probably every other episode, has gone off and just seduced someone just because he can.
There's just a tinge of hypocrisy.
Yeah, I think it's jealousy. Like, damn it. Why am I not getting any this time?
Yeah, I'd love if this was a running joke that keeps going all season. Is that Chekhov keeps stealing the babes, and Kirk's just not happy about it.
Chekhov is the new Kirk.
So that was kind of the enjoyment stuff. But like I said, there's a lot of weird elements that feel. It's almost like they wrote that excuse in for why the set's not finished, and then forgot to change the rest of the script. So when it gets towards the end of the episode, and they're all worried about getting shot, and they realise, oh, the grenade doesn't work. The gas grenade that's going to knock them all out, that just doesn't work, even though it should. And I love that Scotty, like, he is, we'll test it on me, and he also has a little funny joke. He takes the drink and he's like, oh, that's for the pain, and Spock's like, there will be no pain. I should have worn me soon, Mr. Spock.
Yeah, him with the bourbon cracked me up because he orders the scotch and it's like, we ain't got no scotch, just bourbon. He's like, oh, fine. And then 10 minutes later, he's getting full glasses just down it. It's like, it grows on you.
But he just opens. It's a tear gas grenade basically, and he just opens it, and he just like it's not working quite at first when it's on the counter. So he picks it up right under it. He's basically inhaling it like it's a drug. He's like.
Yeah,
and it's not working. That was kind of amusing.
It was.
But yeah, it's like I say. So then they have this whole thing where Spock deducts with logic that Chekhov, because Chekhov's actually dead at this point there. So Chekhov gets shot.
Oh yeah, he got shot.
And obviously we know it's not really dead because he's Chekhov. He's coming back. But
if it was a red shot, on the other hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we know. That's how we sussed it. But Spock deduces that Chekhov's only dead. It's basically Matrix rules. Well, kind of. No, not quite, because Matrix you can't just pretend it's not. If you know it's not real in the Matrix, you still get shot. But maybe Inception's a better. Well, it's not really, because even in that you still die. But you wake up. But the point I'm making, right, is it's like kind of a mix of those things in other dream worlds where if you acknowledge that it's not real and you know it's not real, the things won't hurt you. And Spock's deduced this, so because he's 100% certain, he is convinced the bullets will not hurt him, no matter how much they try to shoot him, because it's not real. He knows it's not real, therefore he cannot be harmed. And everyone else, and McCoy's like, yeah, but we're human, Spock, even if there's a little bit of doubt, like, we always have that, because we're human beings, and we can't get rid of that. Kirk's like, that's alright, Spock, mind meld everyone, and make sure we all know for sure, and they do. And then, I mean, I like the scene itself when, like, when Wyatt and his men are all, like, firing at them, and they just kind of stand there taking no shots.
And then Kirk steps forward,
and he has them at gunpoint. He could kill Wyatt in revenge for Chekhov's death. Because I did like how everyone was kind of like, like Scotty and McCoy were, like, basically gunning for revenge after Chekhov went down. And then the beings are like, all of a sudden they're teleported back to the Enterprise. And the beings are like, you did not take the shot. You are truly peaceful, and you do not want to, like, seek violence, and you want peace. And he's all right. And the most interesting part, I think, is Spock comes over and says, "Hey, like, you didn't kill him. You made the right choice, but you did want to. I could see that." And he's like, well, truthfully, Spock, yeah, I did, but I overcame it because, that's kind of what humans do. It's like, especially at that time period, everyone was shooting each other. Like, because even the sheriff in the simulation is like, hey, if you kill Wyatt and his boys, there'll be no questions asked.
It sounds like it was set up in that. They were like, hey, you want to get rid of them for us?
Yeah. So it's been too long since I've watched Tombstone, and even then, I'm fairly certain that Tombstone was the very loose version. I think because there was two movies that came out really close together. It was Wyatt Earp and Tombstone, and Wyatt Earp was the one that was a lot more accurate, I think, as to what actually happened. But Tombstone was the one with Kurt Russell that was way more popular.
the more fun movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Val Kilmer was Doc Holliday. Yeah, there's a whole thing. This has reminded me I want to get back to Winona Earp at some point and watch the rest of season 2.
It crossed my mind. I was like, maybe I should check out season 2.
But hey, so that was the gist of the episode. I mean, I'll give them a couple of things. It gave them more of a reason, because I was kind of feeling, okay, so they've got the set. One of the things that the show's done in the past is it's reused outfits from other shows. So obviously they've got all these. I mean, not for the main cast, they're just using their regular clothes, which again is also cheap because it's just their outfits. But all the extras, they're in, like, outfits at a time, and it's like, okay, so they got those for another show. They didn't quite finish the set, but they gave me a more interesting reason than usual as to why it just looks like a time period from Earth. It's like, no, this is a simulation of an actual historical event. It should look like that. As opposed to just, this planet just randomly looks a lot like...
I agree. This is intentionally designed to be this.
So I'll give them that. That was a better reason than usual.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the worst episode. It's just full of inconsistencies.
Yeah,
But when it's the crew just bantering and doing their thing,
and
it's pretty enjoyable at that stuff.
yeah, you get five of them together, kind of like bickering at each other, like at various points.
Yeah,
Uh, then that's kind of the best stuff in the episode for the most part. I mean, I like the idea of them being tested and like these beings like, okay, right, these humans mean us no harm. Like that was like a test to see if like I kind of like that in
yeah,
concept more than execution.
I agree
'Cause
with that. Yeah,
I actually got really confused at one point. See when they first beam back, and it cuts back to Chekhov staring at the shiny like satellite looking thing that was
yeah.
there.
He doesn't seem to remember anything except the girl.
Yeah, and I was thinking, oh wait, was this all in like Chekhov's head? Was it all in that moment? Because earlier on in the episode when he's staring at it, he has like a moment of bewilderment,
Okay.
and for a second I thought, wait, does he? Was this all in his head? Which is weird because he died halfway through. So what was
Yeah,
the
that
rest
would have
of
been
it?
weird.
But then it was everyone else remembered, and it was like Chekhov was fuzzy because he died halfway, and like he remembers
Yeah.
the girl, but doesn't really remember the other stuff after it. But there is some wasted time. It's like it does do a lot to like set up that she wants to get married, but nothing really ever comes of it after he dies. Like the girl's just kind of forgotten about.
You don't really see her again, I don't think.
No, she just disappears after that. So it's like, okay, why did we spend all that time and her wanting to marry Chekhov?
Yeah, I have no idea. No good answer for that.
Yeah. So there's some padding, there's some inconsistencies.
It's a good idea at its core. It's just an unfinished episode all round. It's an unfinished script. It's an unfinished set. It's just it's got the core ideas there, but it's just not quite getting to it.
Yeah. Every time they like, because at one point, like I think McCoy actually comes out of one of the just the flat front buildings as if he's been in to get something, and I'm like, there's nothing behind there. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's just a wall with a door in it.
It's just a sheet of cardboard.
What are you doing? I did kind of like actually his face off with Doc Holliday when he goes into the store to get
Dentists.
yeah, he goes to the dentist to get some various medicines to make this tear gas, and I'll say tear gas because they said it would knock them out, which isn't exactly tear gas, but
Yeah.
it reminded me of tear gas the way they sort of pulled it, and it was kind of
Oh, it was. It's this anesthetic, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially, which is why he's in the dentists for that stuff.
I know I just like the idea of there being like a Doc v Doc face off,
Yeah, no.
Bones
That's
and Holiday, facing off in some way. I almost wish that played up again in the final showdown. Maybe like he specifically. Maybe if they all had to like take on one each, like maybe
Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
that could have been a fun thing to do. But I like the banter. I think if anything, what maybe and. I guess arguably they shouldn't have done anything with this because it is a simulation, so they're just kind of NPCs, if you will. But I almost wonder, like, Wyatt and his brother and Doc, they're all just kind of these, like, typical characters where they don't really have character. They're just kind of there and have their
Yeah.
attitudes, and that's it. That's all they are.
Pretty much. They're just a threat, and that's it.
As opposed to the girl who's, like, wanting to get married and is, like,
Yeah, I don't know why they chose her to be the one to flesh out.
yeah, it was kind of weird. Where I just feel like like Wyatt and actually like, maybe try to debate with him, like would it have been more interesting possibly to actually almost maybe get out of this through actual diplomacy? Like, could Kirk actually break through to him and talk him
Yeah,
down?
yeah, no. And that would be much better evidence for this other species that okay, no, they're genuinely trying here, not
Yeah.
just oh well, we cheated our way out. And then, oh, okay, they didn't kill him. All right, fine. I guess they're all right.
If anything, it reminds me of I forget the name of it. The test that Kirk cheated on at the academy, which you find out about in the
Kobayashi Maru.
movies. Oh, there you go. Was it? Say it again.
Kobayashi Maru, I think.
There you go. So that it kind of reminded me of that where it was they kind of put them in this impossible situation where no matter what they did, because they thought of the grenade, they tried to be diplomatic, and nothing was working. It was like always just a wall, and I'm like, you kind of made this unwinnable unless they figured out it was a game and then rigged themselves to win, which is essentially what happened.
No, you're right. It kind of is, yeah.
They kind of had to cheat to solve the problem. So
Yeah.
but hey. But that terrible. Not the worst thing ever, though. It wasn't like a terrible watch.
It's not. It's like I say, it's rough around the edges, and but in concept, it's pretty good. In character, it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it's better.
just-
It's better than the kids one, the follow, and the children shall lead.
absolutely.
That said, though, that has one or two really, really funny, like standout bad things that this
Yeah,
never
yeah.
achieves either. Like, this never gets funny bad.
This isn't an episode I'd ever feel the need to skip but it would just be kind of on.
Yeah, but I wouldn't feel the need to watch it either.
Yeah.
Like, if someone said
But
they were watching, like, the greatest hits of Star Trek and skipping all the fluff, I wouldn't argue they have to watch this one by any means.
no, absolutely not. But if they were going to watch it, it's not like it has to be missed. It's not the worst. It's watchable at the very least.
Yeah, which makes it probably one of the least exciting ones to talk about because it's
Yeah.
just kind of.
It's a very middle tier episode, isn't it?
But that said,
For-
a lot of its problems are really specific and weird. Like, how often do you criticize something because the set wasn't finished? And they had to write in an excuse as to why the set. Especially in such an obvious way where you can see the front of the buildings and there's just nothing behind them.
Yeah, no, it's true. I don't think I ever have made that criticism before.
Because normally it's like, okay, we couldn't build this room. Okay, we'll just put that scene in a room we already have, and that'll be how they solve it. So you'll never feel it necessarily in the episode. You might question and say there's maybe not enough locations. It feels like they're all in the same few
Yeah,
places.
you might feel reused sets, but
But that wouldn't be that immersion breaking
no,
as opposed to this where you
it's just not there.
let's just pretend there's a building there. And
Yeah, pretty much.
give you some half-arsed excuse in the script. They scrubbed out one line and replaced it with an excuse for why the buildings aren't finished, and that was it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I think there's some things in TV shows and movies you can explain in one throwaway line of dialogue. I absolutely think you can. One I always bring up is Back to the Future Part 3, where they never explain why they can't just get fuel out of the original DeLorean to fuel the new DeLorean that's came back in time to take Doc back to the future.
Right.
And it would be completely solved by him just saying, "Oh, it was already empty." That would solve the entire plot hole. It's not it's not a big deal. It doesn't ruin the movie. I'm just saying it's one that once you notice it, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
they had a source of gasoline if they wanted to go to that other car that they'd already buried. But
No,
yeah,
no.
it's whatever.
I think here it would be a fine line if the rest of the episode didn't treat it like it didn't happen.
Yeah, if the rest of the episode actually played with the idea that sometimes aren't like, what if like Doc Holliday was like broken, like he wasn't working properly because they didn't know what he was like, or
Right,
something.
and I think just more importantly, if they were aware it was a simulation the whole time, because they kind of figure it out as it goes through. They're like, oh, this isn't real. We don't. Basically, once Chekhov is dead, and they're like, well, hang on, that guy was supposed to survive this battle, so this can't be real.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like, you already had this realization as soon as you got here.
yeah, as soon as you arrive, you deduced this basically. So yeah, so it's weird in that sense. So yeah, it's uneven, it's unfinished, but it's not necessarily the worst thing to sit through either. So with that said, that is Spectre of the Gun. So by all means, let us know what you thought of this one in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link in the description. At the $1 tier, you get these a week early, these Star Trek reviews. So that may be tempting to you, but otherwise you get other things too for other shows. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, and we'll see you next time.